Well, hey there. I'm Chase with Prism Media, and I'm here with my good friends, Gabrielle and Justin. Got it. And we're here to chat there from the Free Speech Club. Gabrielle is a admin.
A mod, yeah.
Mod admin.
Yeah.
Mod, okay. And Justin, you are...
Just a member.
Okay,
Basically,
cool.
Yeah.
Well, I guess best way to start is introduce yourselves.
So I'm Gabrielle. I'm a mod of the FSC. I actually don't go to UBC, so I'm not quite sure why they made me a mod, but they wanted a female mod, so there's some diversity in there. I go to UFE. I'm finishing up my 4th year and I have a major in French, and I'm getting my certificate in teaching English as a second language, so I'm just really excited to be done my degree. Yeah.
I'm Justin, and I've been in the Free Speech Club for since October. I go to UVic, so again, no UBC here. I'm in biochemistry, and I hope to finish my degree in 2 years, and then get instead of a bachelor's, get a master's or a PhD, and then work in cancer research. That's the plan, but we'll see how it goes. You never really know.
Cool. So what brought you guys to the Free Speech Club?
For me, so I went to the SFL conference on November 5th. I wanted to see Jordan Peterson speak because I've been kind of following him for a while. I thought it would be interesting. I went there with one of my coworkers, and then in one of the breaks, I went to talk to the UBC Young Conservatives, and they recommended me to join the FSC discussion group. So I went on there. I posted one of the articles that I had written because I write some articles on Medium just for fun, just for my own entertainment. I posted an article in there that I had written, and I got roasted so bad that I just wanted to leave the group because everyone was being so mean to me. So I thought, well, okay, this is a free speech club. Of course, people are going to be mean, right? People are going to say whatever they want. So I get that. But then I wanted to leave because I was like, I don't like this group. But I didn't want to admit defeat. So I didn't leave. I thought maybe I'll stay there for a week and then I'll leave quietly when no one will notice that I'm gone. But then some people started to add me, and I started to comment on some other posts, and I guess it started to go a bit better, and Justin added me, and we started talking a little bit, and then you can say what happened next.
Was that, or
yeah?
Well, one thing led to another. Is we started talking about a lot of different things. Basically, communists got mad at her, and I don't like communists, so I kind of was very edgy towards them and very assertive and kind of protective in a way, I guess. And we just kept talking for I don't know, hours and hours a day, and then we started to call a little bit, and then she we were talking about Jordan Peterson dominance hierarchies, and then at some point she just she messages me, and she's like, so when are you gonna be a Jordan Peterson alpha male?
No, I didn't say that. I said so you said that women like men who take charge, yeah. And then you said yeah. And yeah. I was like, so when are you gonna take charge?
Yeah. And I was kind of nice. What's going on? Huh. And then, yeah, it's just been going.
So, yeah, I was I guess we should meet in real life. We have a lot in common. So then we went out, and then we kept going out.
Yeah, and everything went really well. And then for me, during the Free Speech Club, it was a friend of mine started up the SFL club in UVic, and then he invited me on to be a social media director. Then he lost one of his CCs, so I joined up as a campus coordinator CC. And I got invited to go to the SFL regional conference, so I went there. And just before that, I joined the UBC Free Speech Club because I was really getting into free speech by this point. I've been very active at UVic, but never really been part of UBC. I thought it was very edgy. Everything I saw in the news was these racist people and all that sort of crap. So I didn't really know what I wanted to do with it. And then just started getting really active in it and seeing all the Jon Stewart types and the Terrence communists was a fun experience.
So there's a few things. The article that you wrote, do you want to get into that a bit? That got with the backlash?
Oh, that article. I just wrote about kind of when you're starting university, kind of here's how you should behave, I guess, because my brother actually recently started at UBC. He studies engineering. So I wrote an article kind of for him. I just feel a lot of people go to university, and especially in social sciences, they kind of believe exactly what they're taught. And it depends on the course, obviously. It depends on what you're taking. But I feel you should always keep your mind open and always be asking questions and not just accept things without seeing evidence of it. So there's a lot of kind of claims that go around white people are privileged and stuff like that. And the kind of evidence that we see for that is mostly anecdotal. We don't really see a lot of statistics that prove that, I guess. So I find that people shouldn't just kind of accept these narratives without evidence.
So you received backlash for saying that?
Yeah, there were a lot of communists in there saying like, oh, you should take a gender studies course if you... Yeah, like, I think a lot of the communists actually left the group now because they were finding that they were in the minority. Actually, there are leftists in the group for sure, even some communists still, but they complain a lot that they're in the minority. So I kind of said to them, like, I always say to them, instead of complaining that you're a minority in the group, post some more of your opinions so that you become less of a minority, and try to convince people of your opinion so that you won't be that much of a minority. I don't know, like, at least have some discourse instead of just saying, like, oh, we need more diversity in this group. Yeah, for sure. Viewpoint diversity is really good, so yeah, they should share their opinions instead of complaining that people are not sharing those opinions in the group.
That makes sense. Justin, you were saying earlier that you're not a fan of communists. Do you want to elaborate a bit more on that? I'm sure both of you kind of share similar viewpoints in that area.
Well, I've kind of went through phases. Like, when I was in high school, I was a not real communist and communist. So I've been that person.
And really, that isn't real communism.
Yeah, I didn't really know much of the history back then. But as I progressed, I've learned more of the history of what happened and the horrors of communism, like Gulag Archipelago, like the amount of people who died that we don't even know how many died in China and Russia and Ukraine and every other place. And then to say, hey, this ideology works, so we should give it a pass compared to other ideologies, when the inherency of Marxism and communism to me is tyranny. You're giving everything to the state, and as a libertarian, or at least a libertarian-minded person, I don't see any reason to give the state that amount of power. I think it should be in the hands of the people, and the state should have very limited power compared to that.
And there's this kind of idea that all inequality is bad, and therefore we should have communism. But the thing is, if there was no inequality, if there was no economic inequality, there would be no one to pay your salary. There would be no one that's richer than you who could pay you. So that's a thing. There are always going to be a 1% and a bottom 1% and a top 1%. And that's required. That's the thing about communism, is there is more equality and everyone is equally poor, equally starving. So that's a thing. And I studied abroad. My ex actually is from Lithuania, and he hates communism. I mean, Lithuanians hate communism because their country is still really poor because of it. I mean, they became independent from the USSR in 1991. It's not that long ago, and they still have tons of problems, social problems, economic problems, and they're actually losing more people than they're gaining. Their population is declining because of emigration. So just meeting Eastern Europeans, that really gives you the sense that, communism sucks, and Eastern Europeans hate it because it destroyed their countries. Well,
yeah, and I'm Ukrainian. I mean, some of my family are victims of Holodomor that not many people have even heard about. Don't really want to get into that too much right now. But yeah, so would you guys think that communism, in essence, would be a good idea, but as soon as you start looking into it, it tends to be a little bit more difficult to actually implement realistically? That's I've had some arguments with some people, some communists a few times, and they say that the idea is good, the way that people have been trying to implement it is not good.
People aren't altruistic. That's just the facts of life. If all people or most people were altruistic and thinking of the good of society rather than their own good, then maybe communism would work. But the fact is, people are looking for their own individual good, and that's why capitalism works better. Nobody's really saying that capitalism is perfect or that has no flaws. We can absolutely point out the flaws of capitalism, because there's not going to be some perfect system. We don't live in a perfect world. But yeah, people, the way I see it, people are more inclined to be selfish and more inclined to think about themselves, and that's why communism for the common good is ineffective.
And inherently evil. I come from the Christian perspective, and we're all depraved wretches in terms of we're all inherently evil to some degree, and I don't think you can have this ideology that's based on, hey, everybody's going to be equal and you're all going to do just exactly what you need to do and nobody's going to get on top of each other. Because what we see in the Soviet Union is everybody's equally poor and starving, and then you have the communist memes of the open plate, there's your communism right there, and then you have the new bourgeoisie, the party who's above them. And it's weird that you mentioned Holodomor, because the guy Uvik, who runs the Uvik Young Communists, he says that is a Nazi conspiracy that never occurred, and he's Ukrainian.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Wow. And I was recently at the anti-racism rally just last weekend, and there was one guy that was arguing with a bunch of Antifa and communists, and they were saying that Holodomor didn't happen. And I put them, I'm sure you would do, in the same boat as Holocaust deniers.
Oh, entirely.
Yeah.